I was in the Ferrari, following James, thinking, "Oh God, I can hear him in this, banging the steering wheel. Why have we brought this thing here? It's the least James Taylor car I can think that he'd want to." Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Evo Podcast, episode 34, or part 2 of our 2025 Evo Car of the Year podcast. So if you listen to the previous one, we went through how we choose a location, the cars, what we're looking for, and we gave a sort of a rundown of what cars are in this year's test. So this episode we're going to go through where they all finished and why. But first we'll just do a quick recap of where we went, which cars we had, and who was judging them. So Dickie, do you want to kick us off with where we were, what we were doing?
We were based in a place called Digne-les-Bains, which is southern France, just off the Route Napoleon, which is an epic road, one of the iconic driving roads in Europe, somewhere that we've used a couple of times before for Car of the Year, so largely familiar ground, but we also went off and explored some other spots. But yeah, cracking road to drive these sorts of cars. Yeah,
cracking. 5 days and glorious sunshine, so very good. James, cars, there was 12 of them. Do you want to just give us a quick rundown of what the contenders were, refresh those that have listened to the previous one and those who are new to this episode? Know what they're going to
bumper year this year. It was 12 cars, which is the most we've had for a long time. So in alphabetical order, we had the Alpine A110R Ultime, which is literally the ultimate A110, Aston Martin Vanquish, Audi RS3, BMW M2 CS, Chevrolet Corvette E-Ray, which is the hybrid powered version, Ferrari 12-cylinder, Lamborghini Revuelto, Land Rover Defender Octa, so unusually we had a SUV in the mix, Maserati GT2 Stradale, this one's a mouthful, the Mercedes-AMG GT 63 Pro, the Morgan Supersport, so another return to the test for Morgan, and finally some car called the Porsche 911 GT3.
Standard Charles, does it?
Yeah. No, not really. Valve format and layout.
Engines in the wrong place, all that stuff.
John, who was responsible for judging these cars this year? Who did we who assembled in the south of France for a week?
Well, there's the four of us. So Dickie Meaden, James Taylor, Stuart Gallagher, and myself, John Barker. And there was also Henry Catchpole and Colin Goodwin, who's occasional contributor. He's been on Car of the Years before. Last one was at Route Napoleon back in 2005. He drove the Ford GT back. And then there was one more, and I can't remember who that was.
Yusuf. Oh,
He's not here, is he?
No.
No, that's how quickly we forget.
I know. See, you don't turn up.
So that was Yusuf's first Coty, wasn't it? So
I think he got into the swing of it quite quickly, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he was there with enthusiasm and professionalism, which I think by the end of the week we probably beat one of those out of him.
And big hair and a nice cologne as Yusuf.
And he's also presenting the video as well, so he's busy doing the edit for that. So he had his work cut out on his first one in at the deep end with quite a spread of cars there, wasn't there? Quite a demanding location. Long days, 5 days. Before you all started as well, I asked you for your predictions on the Sunday evening.
There was some resistance to doing this, wasn't there?
There was, because that meant... I mean, normally what happens is we get to... So it's a 5-day test. We have to have a winner by the end of play Thursday. So the videography team and photography team can work out how they're going to do the hero shots at the end. Trying to get results out of this lot is like putting teeth. Because they always seem to be surprised that they need to actually come up with a verdict and commit their sort of cars to nail their colours to the mast. But
it was easier this year because Jethro wasn't here.
More
drive in the Lamborghini.
Yeah, there's always someone who needs one more drive, or someone who's confused that they were actually meant to be scoring the cars, or they need to put them in some sort of order.
Got a car missing.
Yeah,
I remember what the 12th car was.
Yeah, so I did ask you what your predictions were on the Sunday evening, so I'm going to go through those now. And then we can see how close people were. I'll do the three that aren't here. So Henry placed Lamborghini first, the GT3 second, and he thought the Alpine would come third. Colin thought the GT3 would come first. the BMW M2 CS would be second, the Alpine would be third. Yusuf, making his debut, predicted the Lamborghini would win, with the Alpine second and the GT3 third. I thought the GT3 would win, the Lambo would be second, and the M2 CS would be third. Can you remember where you placed stuff, James?
Yeah, I had the GT3 also down to win, with the Lamborghini coming second and the Alpine Ultime in third.
John, can you remember what?
Revuelto, 911 and Alpine.
And Dickie couldn't commit, so he.
Well, I had those cars. I just wasn't prepared to put them in. Octa.
I didn't know he did that. He was allowed to do it. He's a special person.
No, he wasn't. Well, he's special needs because he can't make. He
I
couldn't
just gave
commit.
my piece of paper. I need to do some video with someone now, and then ran away.
Was it a blank sheet?
Yeah, no, I did put those 3 cars. I just
Yeah. So
Put them in any
didn't
particular
put them
order.
in an order.
no. So should we? Want to see who was right and who was wrong. Let's go through from 12th place. Out of a very tough field this year, I think we all
Very
agreed,
tough.
wasn't it? It was incredibly. As we get to some of the scoring, it was one of the tightest midfields we've had, I think,
Yeah.
ever potentially. But yeah, do you want to just? So 12th place was the Audi RS3. So John, do you want to sort of kick us off on that?
Yeah, I don't think it suffered particularly for being the cheapest car. It was entertaining. I had a really great drive on the sort of road that it should have excelled on, and it wasn't on the standard tyres either. It wasn't on regular road tyres. It was on quite a sticky tyre, which just made it even more chuckable. So it was a really good car, and on the little twisty sections with a little wall on one side and a cliff face on the other, it was just the car that you wanted to be in. So it was wieldy, it was punchy. You actually, any time you came across that sort of road in that car, you wanted to either be being chased by something big or chasing something big just to make the point. So yeah, it was a great car. It just fell short of, the bit of magic that, elevates these things.
Yeah, I had exactly the same experience as you, I think, as well. I had 2 drives in it which were brilliant on exactly the type of road you described. And once with Richard Tipper was shadowing me in the Ferrari 12 Cylindri, which is really fun, and in places that had the upper hand, and in other places the Audi was really good around the hairpins and stuff.
I think it delivers most of its performance in the bit that you can use most of the time, doesn't it? Whereas the really big guns, when they could really stretch their legs and use the top end of their power, they would meaningfully move away. But as soon as the road got a bit tight, or you need to make more allowances for what's coming the other way, the Audi would gradually kind of catch up. I think it's just because it's based on a series production platform, isn't it? So the bits that stand out are the bits that are different from that, but the overall experience is still rooted in something quite normal, isn't it, compared to a lot of the other stuff in the test, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but the sparkle is, and the kind of specialness is in shorter supply, isn't it?
It was missing that magic sort of.
Yeah, and that was the car that you wanted to be in on the dark run back to the hotel.
Yeah, on the unfamiliar road, and
some of those corners that just go, just having that extra bit of width to play with, and just the lack of, well, it's still 70 grand's worth of car almost, isn't it? But the relative lack of risk, just makes it more biddable and chuckable.
It still shows how tight this field was. So the way we score the cars is everyone has to give the car a score out of 100, and then we average it out. So the Audi came out with an average score of 85.4, which
still a very solid.
In other years, that's a really solid score. It's a solid score this year. It just shows how tight and how close it was. So, I think it's as we said in the previous podcast when we were running through the cars that we've selected, we've enjoyed it every time we've driven it this year, and it certainly was. It had earned its place this year. It was, as we said, on the right roads and stuff. It was a cracking thing to be in. As John says,
I don't think you felt particularly shortchanged if you ended up in it on a.
No.
You know the duffer when everyone's like steering or try and dash for the other cars, but I think it always kind of felt like it did belong
Yeah, and you always got to a location and thought, I need to go and drive the Audi on this road. It seems to be it's the right road for it. It did really well, I thought, in considering, as you say, it's the only really, apart from the oddball Defender really, but it's the only one that's sort of based on a series production car that also has to be a 1.4 TFSI, whatever the Volkswagen engine is. But yeah, no, that's the Audi. In 11th place was on 86 points, was the Mercedes-AMG GT 63 Pro. So yeah, James, Dickie, what were your thoughts on that?
I think it's like the RS3's big brother in a way, isn't it? It's sort of the same things the Audi was good at, the Mercedes was very good at. So the powertrain is really special and impressive and punches you down the road and makes a great noise, and there's a certain sense of familiarity in the car or more conventional surroundings and environment. So it's very easy to just jump in and get on with it and enjoy the best bits of the car. I think
on that point, you felt once you got in it, and you could very quickly get quite high to its sort of capability, couldn't you? But then extracting that next bit.
Its limits are so high, aren't they? It's so grippy, and it generates so much force. In fact, actually, John noticed halfway through the test that the tyre sidewalls have gone this weird shade of sort of greyish pink because it's working its tyres so hard, and it's a heavy car.
Yeah, it's a big, heavy, comfortable car, isn't it? But I think it's in those moments where whatever car you're in, if it's a moment where you can drive it very hard, the best ones stay with you, don't they? And they give you more feel, and they do more of what you want, and you kind of reveal a bit more of the car that you want to find but haven't been able to. Yeah, I think at that very high level, I think the Mercedes just fades a little bit. It's not quite as connected, and it's not quite as sort of engaging in what it does, which is part of its broader
GT
brief, isn't
GT
it? But
brief,
I find it harder to find a flow in that car, and then when you do find the flow, you're going so fast that it's kind of
and the brakes weren't that consistent either on that particular car, which is odd because we haven't come across that since the launch. They just felt a little, sometimes the pedals slightly inconsistent, and that takes away your confidence a little bit if you're really sort of trying to pinpoint down a difficult road. You want to know it's just right there for you.
I think when we were running through the contenders in the previous episode, I think Dickie might have mentioned it's that car that if you had to have for a year, you'd be like, well, that'd be perfect.
Be incredible long term.
Yeah, it's a mega thing.
It's a mega thing because you knew it will just do all the dull drudgery stuff of if we didn't drive that one down, but if we had to drive it home, you wouldn't it would do that 8 hours on the auto route perfectly, but it didn't trip up or embarrass itself when we got onto the route Napoleon either, just in this field, and finding those limits, which was so high and so quick. It's very German in that way, isn't it? It's all about that real peak performance, but it looked amazing as well.
Yeah, it's a handsome car.
Not that we score it on aesthetics, because none of us can talk about that.
It's part of the appeal, though, isn't it? You sort of have a general sense of how drawn you are to
it looked fantastic,
certain cars, so I think it has. It's definitely got something about it. But
because when it arrived in the hotel car park and opened the side of the truck, you could just see a slither of its really long red bonnet and a bit of gold wheels, and it just looked.
It's a nice spec.
It looked really special, really special car. Cracking thing to have, but just hard to find that sort of last 10-15% of sort of specialness, wasn't it? So that was the Mercedes. That was in 11th. Next to that seems unfair to ask Dickie to ask why his favourite child only finished 10th. But the Defender Octa. I think some people would be questioning why we had it there, but I think over the course of the week, you could see people's sort of perception of it.
It was
change.
I think it was interesting because obviously I had a kind of vested interest because I'd lived with that. It was the long-term test car that we drove down there. But it was fun that people that hadn't driven it, it sort of wonder what they were going to say when they got out. But without exception, everyone seemed to get out of it, and they've got a big smile on their face. And whenever it was being driven, you can see it's
Yeah.
doing like
You
ridiculous
hear it. You hear the tire
thing
from about 2 kilometers.
So I think it's totally, you have to kind of switch off your normal wherever your head's at when you jump in a more eco-y style supercar or something, and you just jump in it. It's like learning to drive something again, isn't it? Understanding what it does and how it does it and how comfortable you are while it's doing it. But
I was a little bit frustrated by it, the first bit of my first run in it, because I turned it all. I thought I turned it all off, and it was still just nibbling.
the stability
away
control.
And then I got to the when we were near Castellan, but on the lake bit, and I was parked there, and Henry pulled up alongside. I said, "Can you turn everything off?" He said, "Oh yeah." And he pressed and hold the Octa button, drove it back up the hill, and it was absolutely spot on. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. The fact that it's moving around, that's fine. I've induced it. I want to feel that I've just got it into this corner and it's doing this. So I thought it was brilliant.
It's freer and looser, isn't it, in
It is.
Octa? I think when you drive it in so there's a default kind of all-terrain mode or something, so it's quite supple, but the stability control is on and quite tight, and then there's a regular dynamic mode, and I love it steers really nicely and stays quite flat, and you can switch the stability control off, but it still
comes on.
It kind of allows one big movement, and then it comes back on.
Yeah.
So then you go into the full Octa mode, and that's much softer, and you get less steering connection, but it's freer, and so you kind of want an intermediate mode almost, where it lets the traction freer in this firmer mode.
Yeah, I found it frustrating.
But yeah, I think it just requires you to step outside of your normal comfort zones, and then let it work how it wants to work when it's soft and looser, and it just has a brilliant flow to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Henry was saying, you can back it into the corners like a Mark II Escort.
And be really precise. You wouldn't think you could have any precision with a car that big, that high, and soft, and on big knobbly tyres, but it's still, it's a uncannily chuckable thing, isn't it?
I put it quite high up, I think, in the end.
You did.
Yeah.
We have a score somewhere. Yeah, 90 out of 100.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'd spend a lot of time in it and have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I had that moment of I was following James in it on an amazing piece of road, and I was in the Ferrari, and I was just sat there following James, thinking, "Oh God, I can hear him in this." Banging the steering wheel. Why have we brought this thing here? It's the least James Taylor car.
I could think he'd sort of think a Radical's a bit soft around the edges.
Exactly. And we pulled up at the supermarket in sort of the mustard point of where we were meeting, and I was like, right, I just need to let James get out, be distracted by something else, and I'm just going to sit in the car and pretend to do something. And he wandered over to us. Oh shit! Oh God, here we go. He's going to say, "Why is this here?" I think we should exclude it from the test. And he had a massive smile on his face because that's hilarious.
Yeah, my face was actually aching from smiling so much.
And it's just to follow it was just because it's that thing of you get to see what if you've driven it before, you get to see what you've experienced from the outside, and it was just remarkable.
You kind of expected to run out of brakes or to do something.
It's really
always
good. You can brake almost as late as in the other.
Yeah, and Yusuf in his copy reading his notes, his first time he drove it, he did get out thinking, what are we doing? God, this is my first e-coach, and this lot of old men have brought a Defender along. But again, it was that second, third drive of, I get this, and you get into it and understand it. It was, I think there was 7 or 6 raised eyebrows of that car being included.
Well, I jokingly said I was like E-Coty was my 2-car garage
tryouts,
test drive,
really. So I'd have an Octa and
something else.
What's the second car?
But absolutely. Well, I think if you had pots of money, I'd love one. It's big, and using it every day, which I know isn't what E-Coty is, but I've had it's sort of like the flip side. You sort of choose the E-Coty winner, and then maybe imagine using it every day. I was the other way around, but it's so good at everything, like so comfortable. It's like the anti-Urus. It's not offensive. It doesn't bring out the worst in people. They either don't notice it at all, or they look at it and they see it's something a bit different and appreciate it.
I can't believe that, Dickie. They don't notice it when you're driving it.
I get it as dirty as possible, and then it just blends in. But no, it's a weirdly brilliant car, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
It's like the unexpected performance car, a bit like it was the Skoda Yeti or something like that, like an old Subaru.
I think I can't remember where I put it. I sort of had it in my head.
Yeah, you go 2 more points than John. You go.
I'm always more generous than John. But I think I had it on a similar level to the Morgan because they sort of both occupy the same space in my head. They're not conventionally like tick, 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 everything's brilliant.
No, it's like high spots,
but it all kind of comes together in a way that's quite unlike anything else. And actually,
I really enjoyed it.
Really satisfying.
Yes,
and a nice thing to imagine owning somehow.
Yeah,
and great for making ham and cheese baguettes in the back of.
It was good at everything. It's good drive. We drove it all the way there and all the way back, didn't we?
Yeah,
as well. And it was
It's
brilliant.
not even that noisy. Like I thought those tyres were going to kick out loads of.
No, they hung away at about 50, 55, 60, and then they seemed to
because
fade away.
The Audi was on the pretty Trofeo Rs, which was the optional tyre, and we were driving it down. Thought the transmission was broken because the tyre noise on that
It sounds like the wine.
is, and it's similar to the Megane that came on the Triple Eights, was it?
Toyota Triple Eights,
which was noisy, and it's the same. But actually, the Octa's Dickie's at about 50. It's like, this is going to get tiresome, but it sort of drives through the noise. But yeah, the Audi gave Rich Tipper and I sort of tinnitus on the way there and back with its tyres. So it's a weird thing. If you'd said to someone, which one's going to be noisy? No, it was a cracking time. Yeah, so that finished 10th on 88 points. And then the first of our kind of big guns, really, the Aston Martin Vanquish, which you'd driven on the international launch and came back really impressed. Drove it on the part of the twin test that Henry ran with, triple test rather, with that Henry ran with the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, and it didn't do so well.
No,
was it better?
It was better here, definitely.
In this test,
even on the little roads in France, it was still pretty good. I don't think like I said, I think that road on the North York Moors is a difficult, it's its surface, and it just seemed to wrong foot the.
It does tie quite a few things in knots up there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But
here, I mean, it was just so fast. It was one of those cars when you wanted something quick and little in front of you, just so you could stay with it.
Yeah.
Just prove.
Yeah.
Immense amount of get up and go, fires you onto the back or whatever it is. But once you're up to a bit of a lake, you do feel the size of it. And around some of those hairpin corners, I couldn't actually see where the inside of the corner was anymore. So I felt like I was on the wrong side of the car. But it was immense. And I think it's one of those cars. I mean, Astons have done it for years, but it gets so much attention, good attention.
Yes.
People just love to see them.
It was when we were driving through all those really cool little villages and things in the mountain on the way. It was the Aston Martin that got all the, as you say, good attention. You know, people sort of nodding approvingly or giving thumbs up and things. It was,
So,
but you felt the same as I, James. We had our first drives were a bit disappointing, wasn't it?
It took 2 drives for me to really understand what the Vanquish could do, because my first drive was where we were on the first day, the very, very twisty, bumpy, narrow, tricky road. And then it really came to life on the second day of the test on the more open.
It is a big car, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you do. Yeah. You do sense the size of it, not necessarily in the way it turns or steers, but just its.
You feel the momentum,
physical bulk, and the way it delivers its performance. It's a bit of an avalanche, isn't it? When it's like it, you either do it in a very measured way,
and
but then you don't really feel like it's singing. It's just like, and then when you do floor it, it's like fucking hell. It's like hulks off down the road, doesn't it? And it doesn't maybe have as much nuance as some of the other.
No, I found it was the only car that I found having to constantly play with the damper setting depending what road you're on and how quickly. The others you could settle into, that's the setting that will work pretty much everywhere, but it was the Aston that kept flicking between a harder or a softer damper setting. I think because you felt the size of it, and in your head was your brain was telling you, well, it's getting heavy and it's moving, so you need some more body control, or actually you want to soften it up a bit because the road surface is getting poor. You seem to feel more like you have to keep changing stuff in the Vanquish compared to some of the other cars.
It's a massive event, and like you walk up to it, and the shape of it, and the scale of it, and knowing what's under the bonnet and all of that. It's a really impressive thing. I didn't actually being in it. I'm not sure. The interior is very clean and but I felt, and maybe it's the. I know we're not there to judge the optioning or spec of the car, but it seemed a little bit
somber, isn't it?
Yeah, just not much to really celebrate inside somehow. I don't know. I didn't feel quite as excited being in it as I thought I would. But there's certain points where it delivers performance at a level and in a way that nothing else does. Like apart from the Lamborghini, I think it was the most explosively quick car, wasn't it?
It's 800 plus horsepower from a twin turbo V12, isn't it? And
it's quite drivable. Like, it's quite a progressive 4-twin turbocharged engine.
It feels all of that, and it sounds great as well.
Yeah, but top it makes the right noises. Yeah. I found it wasn't the only car with this, but with the 10-stage traction control system, you can choose just how much rope you want, and that was really nice. There was that road on day 2 with all those uphill hairpins, and it can make you feel like a real hero through there, because you just gradually turn it down a bit more until it's almost switched off. Yeah, and I found the brakes really good too for such a heavy car.
Yeah, never had a concern.
Performed well across the week, and we're saying how tightly contested this year was. It scored 89.7 points. But between here and I'm getting old, I can't see. Here and fifth place is covered by less than a point, and that's how tight it was. With that car, and it finishes 9th, but
it feels like it's a bit hard done by. I think finishing there. It feels like it should be at least a couple of places higher up, but that middle grub never had a test where so many great cars are squished into that middle zone.
Well, the next car that finished ahead of it was only 0.2 ahead, which was the Corvette E-Ray.
I was surprised by that car, quite how. I suppose I shouldn't be. Again, it's maybe the sort of slight sniffiness Europeans tend to have about American stuff, but the feeling of its sort of integrity in its kind of whole car
cohesion
engineering.
Yeah,
it was really, really, really impressive, and it felt way more powerful than the output would suggest. It feels like a 700-800 horsepower.
That felt like 800 horsepower, not what was it, 655 or something.
Yeah, it was quite rapid, wasn't it, when it got going, and you could actually use its performance all the way through. It wasn't as stepped as some of the others, was it? So you weren't. Yeah. Oh, here's this.
The shove in the back never sort of stopped shoving you in the back, did it?
It sounded great, and it had some feel, didn't it? And it was nicely rounded, steering response and its brake feel, and everything seemed.
The odd thing was that I felt it was best in its completely standard mode.
Yeah, I found the steering was so heavy.
Yeah, the steering could get really overly heavy and stodgy.
You could get lost in its modes as well, couldn't you?
Yeah, it was quite overwhelming. All the sliders and individual.
What do I need? It's like a graphic equaliser from a 90s Ford, wasn't it? Yeah. And you'd think, actually, am I doing anything with this stuff, or is it just placebo effect?
If you just got in it and drove it, it was very clean and very precise, very easy to read.
Yeah, consistent, wasn't it? And approachable for any. I think you could. Whatever your experience level or skill level, or you could just get in it and get as much as you wanted to get from it and feel quite fulfilled by that. You never felt like you were missing out on anything. You just found more performance in it. Yeah,
it felt very European, which is what the objective was. There are bits you think, this feels a bit like an R8 or a 488, and they've mid-engine supercars that they sort of benchmarked and wanted it to be. In that respect, it achieved that 100%. I felt you could have put any European badge on it, and it felt like it.
The other thing was that it never felt hybrid. When you were driving it properly, it never felt like there's a join here between the EV power and the combustion.
So, although there was that weird synthesized sort of electric motor whine noise that was sort of, yeah.
No, it sounded like a supercharger.
Yeah, she did sound like a supercharger. It's that weird sort of high-pitched kind of whine.
And it was coming from the front.
Yeah.
So it still felt like a complete ICE product, but just in a really weird way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was more impressive than most people expected. Having driven the Z06, I thought it was going to be good dynamically. But yeah, the way it all fits together.
I think the powertrain, the Z06 doesn't sound, it's got that horrible, brittle kind of flat plane noise, whereas this was a much richer, nicer, like what you pay your money for in a
like a warm V8 rumble.
In American V8, yeah, just sounded really
good through the tunnels.
Good, yeah,
yes,
with the roof off,
yeah. No, it was a cool thing, and missed out on finishing any higher by just 0.1 of a point to another mid-engine car. It was the Maserati GT2 Stradale, which was on 90 points. A car based on a previous winner, which I think there's always some apprehension of. We talked about the MC20, haven't we? It's dropped off quite a sharp cliff since that 2022 victory, but this car felt
more together.
More
together. I had my first like proper car. This is a really good Eco-T drive
right
in it quite early in the week. So I was like, it's at that point it was quite a long way up my list, because it was on one of those lovely fast sections of the Route Napoleon, and then up into the mountains where you were just kind of blending in and out of the power and just steering and carrying speed rather than having to use a lot of the brakes, and which still the brakes aren't, they've just got that really annoying tipping, like nothing too much. It's really hard to judge. The steering was nice. I sort of liked the steering less the more I drove it and the more I got used to some of the other cars, but Henry marked the steering pretty highly in his first drive, and I can see why. It sort of felt like if somebody made a modern F40 or something to me. Yeah. Like a little bit rough around the edges, but what it does well, it's really exciting and what you want from a exotic.
Yeah, I think we described the MC20 as feeling like an Noble M600.
Yeah.
From the original test.
Yeah.
And this one for me, it still has that slight fuzziness to most of its responses.
I think that's why I liked it when it was sort of smaller steering inputs and just getting a flow and carrying speed, and it was on quite extreme tyres, wasn't
Cup 2s.
It's a Cup 2. No, it's Cup 2Rs, wasn't it?
No, it might have been, yeah.
I think. Yeah. So you're always slightly wary of whether they've really got some.
I struggled on my first drive of the whole test was in the Maserati when we set off from our base to go, and it was quite a cold, chilly.
Quite morning, it was sort of single figures when we started. The sun was out, but it was at 7-8 degrees.
You got mugged.
No, I did, because I was in the cars that needed fuel.
Company cards, Stu, don't worry.
But as the roads climbed up into the mountains and really cold tarmac at the hairpins, it was really not. The front end wasn't biting and stuff. And then I drove it later in the test.
Yeah, it's a different
on a nice sunny day.
When the
everything switched on.
It was quite a easy car to read because I drove it. I think the first time I drove it back was at night.
Yes, I remember I was following you in the AMG.
It's actually, because your perception when you walk up to it is it's going to be quite an unruly sort of road car.
I was quite wary of it. I just sort of, probably because you see the tyres and you think, well, it's quite boosty, and it's going to be a bit. It is quite boosty, but it's not spiky in the way.
No, it's quite benign, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can be really smooth with it. Sort of, you can drive it much smoother than it looks. It looks like a car you're going to have to grab by the scruff of the neck and be really on it for every mile, and it'd be quite tiring.
You can just drive it in a higher gear and use it in a different way.
And it's still a good Grand Tourer as well. Like the regular MC20, for all its flaws, it's a really good sort of
and it hasn't eroded.
I think it rides better and steers better, so it's actually a nicer thing. Yeah, it wouldn't be any harder to live with. It'd actually be nicer to drive more of the time, I think.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah.
So that's our 12th to 7th, with the Maserati ending on 90 points. We're going to have a quick break for some
Yonkers peanut power. I've never think that finished fifth, did it?
So go and find some Yonkers, and we will see you after the break. Thank you.
I think it's 3 words for this office.
Yonkers peanut power.
Welcome back to part 2, episode 34, Evo Car of the Year 2025. That was a lot to remember. If Sam hasn't kept it in, we've just been Dickie's just recounted the story of when he mistakenly ate cat food in Spain, thinking it was pate. The name Meow on the tin didn't give it away. But he's here to tell the tale.
Yeah, he's got 8 lives left.
Right, top 6. So, quick recap. From 12th to 7th, from 12th onwards. So the Audi RS3 finished 12th, the GT63 Pro was 11th, Defender Octa 10th, Aston Martin Vanquish finished 9th, the Corvette E-Ray was 8th, and the Maserati GT2 Stradale finished 7th. And that 9th to 7th place were covered by just 0.3 of a point. And then we got to our 6th place car, which was 0.1 ahead of the Maserati, which was the rather lovely Morgan Supersport, which you we all fell for, but John, you had a real soft spot for it.
Yeah, I had it 3rd, I think.
You did, yeah.
I mean, sometimes I go for a car that doesn't look great, but which drives really well, which is any Civic of the last 2 gens. But this one, I thought it does drive a lot better than the previous plus 6 that we had on Car of the Year, and it doesn't, for me, it doesn't really matter with this car because it's as much about the experience, the looking down the bonnet without the louvers now, but just coming to the car every time. I thought, wow, this is a really special bit of kit, and it's so quick. And I had a really interesting drive back. The roads from Castellan to Dean-le-Bain, the sections of it are really tight and twisted, and it flows a bit and then it's tight and twisty again. And I was in the Morgan, and I was bookended by Yusuf in the Revuelto in front and Colin in the 911 GT3 behind. And I was just whizzing along quite nicely. I wanted to keep in touch with Yusuf because I didn't have the nav.
Oh, right.
So I couldn't find the hotel.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose Colin, who was struggling to keep up with the Morgan in the 911, which shows you how good the Morgan actually is, because he just nips in and out.
Yeah, it's deceptively fast, isn't it? You don't appreciate how quick it's going until it is in the company of other cars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you never ever seem to have to drive it like you're trying to drive quickly, because as soon as you do, that's when it struggles a little bit again, isn't it?
It does.
It's much better than the previous gen car for that.
And it's still the rear axle feels a little bit compromised, doesn't it? It's not got all the answers. But when we got to the hotel, Yusuf said, thanks for not sodding off into the distance there. He said, oh, no, I was going. So he was on it. And he said every time I looked in the mirror, the 2 round lights of the Morgan are still there. So, yeah, an impressive thing. But it's more of a car to have and to cherish and to open the garage.
It's a classic
doors.
car without the hassle of a classic car, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. As I said before, I think it looks like a Morgan from the future.
Yeah, no, I love the way it looks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was really smitten by it.
Yeah, Dickie, what did you
Same as John. Yeah, I mean, they made lots of quite big changes, haven't they? It's got decent Michelin tyres on it now, which make a big difference. I know the structure of the car is different from the previous gen, isn't it? And it's got multi-adjustable nitron dampers, and I think they've got quite a lot of options where you can sort of dial the car in, having a limited slip diff as well as another option.
All the mounting points are stiffer as well. I think the steering rack is twice as stiff as well. And,
it's just that a bit more together, isn't it? And it copes. It's still got more performance than it can deal with ultimately, but it's much, much, much more polished and easier, more consistent, less intimidating
Yeah.
less. It just got a bit ragged, didn't it? The previous
Yeah.
gen car.
I think from the tyres up, once you fit a decent tyre, then you can exploit that tyre. That's what's, it's like a process of making everything work, because they had such odd Avon tyres and stuff for such a long time. And, it doesn't really matter what you do to the chassis, because it's still, fairly limited on.
And it's a potent thing, isn't it? That BMW engine is a really potent thing. So it needs those tyres to really work,
and the lateral grip.
No, I loved it, and it felt every bit as special as the most special cars in the test. Felt really nicely put together. It doesn't actually seem that expensive to me. I know with all the options in the paint, it was probably significantly more than the list price, but still,
the essential car is.
I think for what you get and what they put into it, and what else is out there, I think that's a lovely thing. Really.
You did the launch for us, so you're in that thing. I'm the only one that's driven this.
Yes,
I think Henry might have driven it as well, hadn't he?
He may have done a bit later. Yeah.
But what were your expectations going into it? Thinking, the only one driving this car, and I committed to it. To then, once you've driven it in that environment with the other cars, what were your was there a sigh of relief, or were you?
Yeah, there was, because Morgans are so singular. There's nothing really like a Morgan, and on the launch, driving it individually, it felt brilliant. I thought, okay, this is a brilliant product for all the reasons we've just discussed. But it was only when we got it together with these other 11 of the best cars on sale today that I realised just how good it is, both dynamically in terms of being able to hang with much quicker, well, on paper quicker cars, but actually it is just as quick as them in the real world. But also, like you both said, for sense of occasion, for quality, and actually for usability. I wouldn't necessarily fancy driving an older Morgan, up in the foothills of the Alps all day and all night like we did with this car. But it was fine. It never felt out of its depth at all, and it could do some things some of the other cars couldn't.
Yeah, no, it was a lovely thing not just a lovely thing to have and to be in. It was competitive. Far more competitive, I think, than a lot of people thought it would be. In every drive, and it was an occasion, which is what you want it to be, isn't it?
Big step up for
huge step. Congratulations to those guys. They've done a huge amount of work
and a tiny company compared to all of the other marks in his tests.
So that finished on that was 6th on 90.1, and then on 90.6 in 5th place, another BMW engine car, the actual BMW in the test. The M2 CS, which of course is following the footsteps of 2020's winner, which was the previous generation M2 CS. James, what did you make of that?
I really like this car, and I think of all the cars in the test, this seemed to be one that split people the most. People either really, really loved it, or they didn't quite click with it. I think it helped. I had one really, really good drive back in it one night, which, sometimes you have one great drive that kind of bumps a car up your list a little bit. But the regular M2 hasn't quite hit the spot with us in other group tests. It's sort of been one of those cars that felt quite good. A bit of the opposite of the Morgan we just described. It felt pretty good on its own, and then when we'd pitch it in with other cars, then it would fall back a bit. I thought this was a really great car. I felt it gave me a lot of confidence, even though it's more than 500 horsepower or to the rear wheels. It's very drivable. The main issue I had with it is it still feels very big, even though it's a lot shorter than the M3 and M4. It's pretty much as wide. It's got the world's most obese steering wheel in typical BMW fashion. So it took me a little while to sort of feel in touch with it. But once I gelled with it, I really, really liked it a lot.
Yeah, it felt much. Last year's M4 CS felt a bit of. There wasn't much. Actually, the standard M4 felt better than the CS, but this is. The M2 CS feels a big step up from the standard M2.
It's just a bit more cohesive.
In that sort of M family, the M2 CS seems to be out of an M3, an M4 CS, and an M2. The M2 is what a CS close as possible as CS can be.
But a little bit smaller, isn't it? I suppose, but it still has the same. I mean, obviously, it's going to feel related to the M3 M4 because it's just a shortened version of the platform, isn't it? But
feels more like an M4 than an M2.
But
it's.
I think they're always dependent on they sort of fall whichever tyre you have it on, there are moments where you want it to be on the other tyre. So it really, I felt it didn't quite key into the road and bite into the road in the way I
this
thought
was on
it
more
would.
normal tyres. This was on Pilot Sport 4S tyres.
Yeah, so the car's available.
I think it should have been on Cup 2s, and we've had CSLs and things on Cup 2Rs, and it's been amazing when it's in its sweet spot on those, but then pretty spiky and scary when it's not. I think the Cup 2s, would have allowed it to show a little bit more of where they've sharpened it up and where it's got a little bit more.
Yes, because this was on the 4S because BMW made that decision because we weren't using the track, so therefore it's on the
we were
road
going to the foothills of the Alps in what was getting towards autumn, even though the weather happened to be very good this time.
But I think Dickie's right. If it had the Cup 2s, it would have allowed that fine detail to lift it.
It's just that this generation of cars, I think, compared to the previous Gen M2, that was definitely
smaller,
different platform, much smaller, more compact, more simple, purer car. I think that car, the original M2 CS, would have done really well this year still, because it would be like the GT3. You know, if you had a stick shift, small rear drive, powerful BMW, what's not to like about that? But
because that I think that made the difference on the original, the one that won Car of the Year, the fact that it was manual rather than auto. Because the autos, with that engine, with that much power, the auto keeps wanting to make you go faster. With the manual, you get more choice.
So you're in your own flow. You're driving at your pace, which is sure.
Ebb and flow with that gear. So I didn't find. We did the M5 CS as well. That was on the military road, wasn't it? Towards Glen Shee, and literally, and the damping on that was so good. I went down from the car park over a couple of crests, around a couple of corners. I thought, this car is brilliant, and I never got that bit of magic out of the this M2.
No, they're having to they're doing everything they can to make it into something that's palatable for people like us. Audience. But it's never, doesn't feel naturally inclined to deliver what you want to deliver. I think that the M guys are incredibly good at what they do. It's not like they've forgotten how to make a brilliant car. It's just they're working with a certain platform. They do the same thing across 3 cars, aren't they? Now? Fundamentally with the same
ingredients, isn't it? Trying to come up with 3 very different meals. I found it quite inconsistent. You'd have a good drive in it, and then another one would be something's lacking.
I was a bit like the Maserati. I had early in the week. I had a nice, good drive in it, and thought, okay, well maybe the next time I drive it will be. I'll find a bit more in it, and then when I went to look for that bit more, I couldn't find it somehow. And I think some of that was in the tyres, but some of that's in the car. I love it. Like, I know it's like a bit of a thug to look at, but I do love just the way it sits, just the attitude it has.
And really drivable for such a powerful car. It's one of my favourite drives, and it was the same road I really enjoyed the Vanquish on. And a bit like the Vanquish, I was using the 10-stage traction control, gradually working my way down to everything switched off, but it lets you access more of what it can do in a kind of safe way.
His modes were quite. I was very fortunate. I got in after Henry had set all the modes up. I was just doing M1. I was like, okay, and it was. Once it was in that mode, you didn't feel. Should I try this? You didn't feel you were lacking anything apart from just. Found again, you would get to its A limit, and then when you went looking for the other bit, it was whether it didn't key into the road or it's got a bit unwieldy, and then you weren't constantly, but you were often in the back of your mind, what's it going to do?
I think it's kind of what I would hope the regular M2 would be, and then the CS would
make it feel a little bit lighter,
something else,
more biddable.
I think maybe, but not necessarily in the direction they took the CSL.
The CSL was too far, I think, wasn't it? But you're right, you want that to be the standard car, and then be able to fine tune the CS more.
If I see a CS on the road, I'll still be like, what? I'll kind of, there'll be a bit of me that wants to drive it again. And I would like to drive one
for 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months would be nice. A year would be better, but 6 months would be nice. But no, on some Cup 2 tyres.
Yeah. Yes, it's the car, isn't it?
At the right time of year.
You want to drive again. It's not, I don't need to drive that ever again sort of thing. It's still really compelling.
I think maybe if it had been
car.
wet on those tyres compared to everything else, all the tyres they were on, it would have made sense. And similarly, if you could have driven it in proper dry, warm weather on Cup 2s, it would have made sense as well.
That night drive I had in it, where it jumped up my list, it was quite cold, seeing the tarmac could cool down. So those tyres were actually the right tyres to be on.
Probably feel
that really helped it.
Helping.
I think that's quite interesting, though, isn't it? The way we can have in detail, but quite different feelings about the same car, but it does actually
it all balances out.
Because some people will have had brilliant, they've driven it in the optimum conditions for the car, or just when they're in the right mood for it, and they've scored it slightly higher as a consequence. But I think it does. It does work. The average, averaging the scores out.
I think it finished in an appropriate place.
I think
given the average of what everybody.
Well, if you think what's
above it, it's all pretty serious stuff from this point on.
So that them two CS finished fifth, 90.6, which was kind of the top.
It was the top of this really tightly fought.
So from ninth to fifth, they were covered by less than a point. And I think depending on what judges had for breakfast, you could have probably, some of those positions might have changed, and scoring it's that, you had to make a decision, you had to commit a number to paper. That's such a strong midfield. I think Henry's was looking back, I don't think we've had a midfield that tight before.
No.
And then as Dickie's point just a minute ago, that what's above it, all of those cars. So the car above it that finished fourth, won 92.9 points, was the Ferrari 12 Cylindri.
It's interesting. Is that a step?
Yes,
a proper step, isn't it?
Yeah.
Top four. I've been seeing the scores are all proper steps.
Yes, they're starting to sort of ramp up the difference.
And it's funny. I felt a bit lost with the Ferrari, having really looked forward to driving it. First time I drove it, I just didn't, to the point where I really don't know whether I'm going to get on with this at all. It had that kind of quick, not overly quick, but considering the size and the demeanour of the car, it felt like its responses were really quick, and maybe the road was just too busy and I couldn't use the engine. I was like, I don't know, it's not what I thought it was going to be. And then I drove it again and I liked it more. And then I think so the Thursday morning, and we all sort of set off at slightly different times, and it was just after the sun had come up, and I had like 2 hours in it on the Route Napoleon, and it was amazing. Like the perfect, couldn't have had a better combination of timing, road, car, mood, the end of the week. Could drive it as fast as I wanted, so I drove it fast for points, but I didn't have anyone in front of me, didn't have anyone behind me. I think I came across 2 cars in the whole drive, and it was like, bloody hell, this is one of the best drives I've ever had, even though it wasn't, you can have a winning drive in the car that doesn't win the test somehow. I think everything was right in that car, and I could then separate it, say, from the Aston, because I think the amazing way the Aston engine is, it doesn't have the sort of this aristocratic kind of noble refinement and reach and nuance, and it's really fierce. It doesn't sound super fierce, but it is really, really, really fierce at the top end.
Yeah, probably.
But it's just it can kind of go from 1 to 10 in 0.1 increments.
It's
so malleable to your mood or the road or the mode, and the modes are so easy to, you just knock it into whichever sport or whatever it is and leave it there, and then there's bumpy road, or but you never think about the mode after that. You just enjoy the car. It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah,
but I think I put it fourth.
You put it fourth
on my card. So but it confirmed to me where it sat.
Yeah, and I think in North Yorkshire, it was a little bit wrong-footed like the Aston, but not to the same degree. There was a clarity to the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Aston, he wasn't quite sure
So
what was
it's
going on.
a bit sometimes, isn't it?
And the Aston, the Ferrari would obviously take a little set every now and again, but basically was more clean and more readable.
Yeah.
And I think I was leading you up one of the hairpin hills, and I'd driven it in the wet, the convertible one in the wet, and gradually got my head around that, and you learn that you don't need to use an awful lot of throttle, just enough throttle will unstick it. And it's the same in the dry, in the coupe, going up the hill. And in it, I just turned everything off because you've got such great throttle control. You can measure out exactly what you want.
Yeah.
So you just look at the corner, and then if the corner opens out a little bit, you give it a bit more gas.
Yeah.
So it's pretty special.
And it just looked like a spaceship everywhere.
Yeah.
I know we're not. We've said we're not there to judge.
Yeah.
Them, but bloody hell, wherever it went, and when you were in it, you felt like you were in something really, really special. Just the way the interior looks, and some of the screens and things are tricky, but I didn't find them as tricky, weirdly, as other Ferraris. I think it's such an unusual car to be in, and it doesn't drive like recent Ferrari V12.
No.
So I wouldn't have said
I
they've
think
just
it's
calmed it down a little.
Slowed it down just a little bit, which allows you to get on top of it and feel more confident about using the performance and the handling, I think.
Because you drove it in that driving mecca of Luxembourg.
That's
right. How did? And this is the first time you've driven it again, isn't it?
That's right.
What was your thoughts on that, James? To sort of,
Yeah.
this is what it should have been like.
It had been nearly a year since I'd driven it, and as you say, the Luxembourg launch was, it wasn't an optimum setting or conditions. So I think part of me had forgotten how good it was, and part of me maybe never fully appreciated just how good it was, because its breadth of ability is amazing, and it's a slightly weird car in some ways, because it's hard to put it into a box, because it's got sort of the sense of occasion of a Grand Tourer, and it is really usable and really well mannered, but it's so responsive, like a sports car.
Yep.
And the way it gets into and through a corner, it almost feels like the engine's behind you instead of in front of you. And the engine is instantly responsive, but I've not driven the previous V12 front engine Ferraris, but everything I've heard of them, they sound completely unhinged. Yeah.
Their default is to be manic, and you have to sort of just force it to not.
You have to slow yourself.
Yeah.
Your input.
Well, this seemed the right way round. You were sort of could wind yourself up and wind the car up, and it would go. I didn't really. I did miss a bit of the engine sound, but I wouldn't want it to be much more present. Or maybe more present, but not super vocal.
I think just a little bit more of it.
Yeah,
just because
it makes a lovely sound. It's just a little bit muted, maybe.
Yeah, there was that time I had to go so we did the voting on Thursday, and then you know who the winners in the podium are, and then so we need to make sure that the car isn't going, the winning car that we need to get all this hero stuff on. We need to make sure it's not going to be collected before we can do it. So I had to go to the top of the mountain to get some phone signal. And I was up there for quite a while and came back down again and pulled into the car park. You were all looking at me with that look of something's just happened. I was like, what now? I think it was you, Dickie, or Josh. Like, can you go back and do that again? It was just so nice to listen to. Just going up and down and sort of in the bowl.
Every time it turned up.
Whenever someone went off in it, you could just... There was a couple of cars in the test that just had such a distinctive note. They could only be the Ferrari, the Porsche even,
or the Lambo.
And the Lambo. They could only just... You can just tell what car they were just by the note. The others were just noise.
I think visually as well, that car works in 3 dimensions. There's something about it that doesn't come across in photos. Yeah. It can look great in photos, but I think you have to see it sort of in the round. And I'm really looking forward to the final edit of the video, I think, because I think it will come to life maybe more in the video than...
It does look a bit like a one-off special for Matchbox in the 70s.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like a 70s kind of... Here's a car of the future.
Yeah.
The band over from the pillar up and over the roof, when you're following it looks like a big handle almost. It's great.
Yeah, that was a remarkable car, but remarkable enough only to finished fourth.
Yeah, fourth.
And halfway through the week, you know, the way people were talking at dinner, like you mentioned in the last podcast, we all play our cards quite close to our chest, and we don't really tell each other how we're going to vote. But everyone was singing the Ferrari's praises so loud and strong. I thought it was an outside chance of winning, because it was
It's been 2014 was the last time a Ferrari won Car of the Year, and the cars. That's not saying the cars haven't been getting better, but the field and the other cars in there are just moving on. But yeah, it's a lovely thing, remarkable car, wasn't it? On that whole week, again, I don't think anyone had a duff drive in it. It took a while to get to know it.
No,
for some
the first
people.
time I drove it was on the twisty bit from where we parked at the base of the mountain. That last bit, and the road's quite polished, and just everything you drove on that section
It wasn't very smooth.
Wasn't representative of everywhere else you drove it. So
it was quite dusty there.
Yeah, it was a bit. It was like
quite narrow as well, and it was a bit stop-start, wasn't it? It would be
and about a mile of fresh air between you and the bottom of the valley, which is focusing.
Yeah, but fourth for the Ferrari, 92.9 on 93.9 was our first podium finisher, which was the quite remarkable Alpine A110R Ultime, which was third place. So who wants to start with that? Who?
I loved it. I ended up absolutely loving it. I initially wasn't sure, because it's such, having got used to the A110, then the S, then the R, and the R's quite a big step in terms of spec and the way it looks, but actually the way it drives, it's still within the same, feels like the same family of car. And then I got in the Ultime, and it's like, bloody hell, this is really like the NVH man had the year off when they were doing this, because it's like really quite coarse and a big step, isn't it, in that sense. And you drive it, and you feel like you've lost more of what made the other cars so good. So then you think, God, it's got to be really good at the things it's been designed to do to compensate for that. And then the more I drove it, the more I found those improvements, and the less the compromises bothered me. It was like a sort of win almost. And the enthusiasm of Hervé, the engineer, was... I think that's another bit of Car of the Year, actually, isn't it? The seriousness with which the manufacturers
take it and
treat it, with all the engineers and the support that we have during the test. But he was particularly invested, wasn't he? Because he spent the last 10, 15 years of his life from the very beginning of the project through to this one. So he knew absolutely everything about it. Yeah. And it's that sort of car, isn't it? Once you know, like, the price tag is still nuts, but you can see why it's at that, because that's probably the least they could possibly get away with charging for it and not lose a fortune.
They've not put some profit on the top of that, have they?
Yeah.
Funny enough, I went the other way with the car.
Did you?
Yeah. I really enjoyed it to start with. And I drove it the first morning. And following Yusuf along the sweeping roads. Yeah. Which were fantastic, watching the sun come up and the mountains, and brilliant. All fantastic. Days like these playing in your head. And every corner that Yusuf went into, I looked, he was driving the Merc, which is about 1,000 kilos more. And I just watched what he did on the way into the corner to judge whether I needed to use any braking oil, even to back off, and just flowed in and out of these corners. It was fabulous. Then got up into the hairpins, and it was just a bit cold, and it was pushing, and the back would go.
Yeah, it wasn't happy on the really, really tight stuff.
No. But the way I went through the week was, I found it, to me, it just needed a specific set of circumstances to be in place to actually shine. And if it wasn't all aligned, it was actually a little bit frustrating. Yeah. So that's how I went. So
I think they were really brave to bring an R.
Yeah.
Because I was still in my, has it gone a bit too far mode when I got in the R, and the R was like, oh man, this is so much easier, just an easier thing, but still wonderful. Yeah. But then when I got back in the Ultime, whatever however you pronounce it, it gave me all the things I wanted. And then I checked the price again. I'll never have one of these. But I think it's such a special car.
It's a little bit like Elise's, isn't it?
Yeah,
bog standard, original K series engine of the Elise, still fantastic. You can drive that car in 25 years' time; it'll still feel fantastic. Everything beyond that just feels like you gain this, you lose a bit of that.
Right.
All
it's
the way
compressed into a smaller sort of bandwidth. Isn't it? But
all the way up,
like an XE or something.
Yeah.
Well, I love the fact they've done. I can't imagine if any other manufacturer did that for one model. Like if, heaven forbid, like the last GT3, what that would be like if it's got basically a race engine in it, and we've changed the subframe, we've redone the aero again, and we've done this, we've done new dampers, specific type.
Yes.
It would be.
But can you imagine what a manufacturer that already does that sort of stuff did it? How much they would charge for it?
Yeah.
If you look at
$500,000, wouldn't
yeah,
they've
well, the
gone to all that
GT3
trouble, haven't they, for 110 cars they're going to do of those. I would think most will probably go to in France because they've got the biggest following. I think a couple are coming to the UK.
Yeah, when we spoke to Hervos, at that time 2 had been sold to the UK, and maybe some more.
And they're doing right-hand drive as well, aren't
doing
they?
right-hand drive too. Yeah.
And as I said, it's not just about the car and its mechanicals and how it drives. You can bespoke the whole interior as well within the price.
Yeah.
So all these
and the
different
exterior, special paint finishes and stuff like that.
I'd much rather have one of those than I'd rather have a lot of cars than a supercar or hypercar, but I love those. I just love those sorts of projects where they're.
It was a team of 10 people.
Yeah, initially 10
car.
people, and they were doing evenings and weekends,
Yeah.
like a skunk works. Yeah.
But the thing they didn't do was a manual gearbox, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But
And which, the only thing they didn't do.
yeah,
But they did absolutely everything else, didn't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
no proper special. Every special
Yeah.
car, I think it
Yeah.
so earned its place
Oh,
on the
God,
podium. I think.
Yeah.
And in the right time and the right place.
Yeah.
It could do things no other car in that test.
Yeah, and it was every drive was memorable for the right reasons, not because I've got to get in and put the belts on and it's going to be harsh and it's going to be. But it didn't.
I had the best and worst of it in one drive. It was on the way back on. It might have been the last night of the test. I can't remember now, but the temperature had dipped, so the tyres weren't very happy to start with.
Colours in front of the Vanquish.
Yeah, you were in the Vanquish. I was following you down the hill. And at the start, it felt like the green flag lap before a race because I was putting the harnesses tighter. I was working the brake. The brakes were squeaking like crazy because you're trying to get some heat in the tyres. And then on the motorway, the engine is so resonant because the engine's the least memorable part of the normal A110.
Yeah.
And in this one, the engine's such a big part
It's
of the
pretty
experience.
dominant, isn't it?
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. It sort of buzzes right through you with motorsport spec mounts and bushings and stuff. And I actually found myself changing down to get the revs higher because it was less resonance.
Zone.
Yeah, there was this zone around 1400 RPM where it's just like a pneumatic drill or something. And then the road opened up and it was these beautiful sweeping corners and it was one of the best drives I've ever had. It was incredible.
It was amazing. Amazing thing. Henry got out. I got in after Henry, so almost if I follow him round. You go, right, take this, but go and find a straight piece of road with no one behind you and just hit the brakes as hard as you can. And you won't trigger ABS or anything. And no matter how, it's so much grip it generates from its tyres because it doesn't weigh anything either.
Yeah.
You just brake so late, which meant you could brake so late into hairpins and stuff like that. But yes, you needed the heat into it.
Most of the time, you don't need to brake at all.
No,
Exactly. Just turn into it. But it was, when I came back from that drive, we were all congregated in that lay-by at the top of the hill. And with all the support cars and the other test cars and obviously film people with kit everywhere, you sort of pulled in and it did feel like you see on YouTube or Instagram, or normally Francois Delacour's Instagram feed of when he's doing some testing where they've closed a section of road just for some rally testing, and you did feel you're in the right car for that to put into a service stage, and it just felt special, but without being extreme and just doing one
it's just
thing.
hardcore enough, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think the engine character is quite different, like much more at the top end than early doors. It's got a 6-speed box instead of a 7-speed box, isn't it? So that changes the ratios and the shifts that bit sharper.
Just makes it more, just a little more immediate, doesn't it? Yeah.
They put proper paddles in now as well instead of the tiny little ones you can't reach normally. It's called.
No, that was a very special And if it is the last, it was quite a way to
Going out on a holiday.
Yeah, I had it when I parked the last time I drove it. I just sort of sat there, switched it off and just sat there for a bit. I just think, because you never know if you're going to
drive one again.
drive one of those again.
Yeah.
It's that sort of car.
Well, hopefully we will, Jim, won't we? So, second place on 95.8 points. Again, a sort of a step up. Very high score. Porsche 911 GT3.
Yeah, you got the long way around.
Surely some mistake.
Yeah, surely some mistake. GT3 finishing second. What do we think of that, James? You did the international launch. You drove it before we went out on Car of the Year in the UK for a story.
Confident he was going to do over.
Well, yeah, I thought it was a shoe-in because I'm really lucky. I think out of everyone on the team, I've driven the GT3 the most, and I actually waited until later in the test to drive it because I wanted everyone else to get in it and drive it. And I've driven it on the road and on the track, so I know just how good it is in different scenarios. And it was every bit as good on the Route Napoleon as it was, on the Nürburgring and on the roads in Spain. I think. Well, actually, Richard Tipper, one of the other drivers on the test, had a really nice quote. He said, "I feel like I was born in that car because it just feels so spot on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Everything you touch, every input you put in, you get an exact response from, and it feels just right." And up in the mountains, it felt like you're on a Monte Carlo stage or something. But it doesn't drive itself. You have to really work hard, and you drive it differently to keep the weight on the nose.
You got to work as hard as you want to, don't you?
Yeah.
If you don't fully understand 911s, or you still get lots.
Yeah.
But the more tricks you've got,
Yeah.
and the more experience you've got, and the more comfortable you are with them, you can make it do much more than any of the other cars. I think just either big expressive kind of stuff or just very slight adjustments of what it does when it does it, how it does it. It's so simple as well, isn't it? You just drop in it, pull the seatbelt on, start it up, drive away, and that's it, isn't it? That's it, really. And you've got a damper button and
maybe occasionally
exhaust button. That's probably about it, isn't it? Really, yeah. And it's the continuity between all the GT3s we've ever had on Cars of the Year. They're all incrementally, they're all related to one another, aren't they? Where you don't have that. Or the first M2 CS, and they're like totally different cars, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're always dialed into exactly what you wanted them to do, and this one's still. It's harder and harder for a car to do that, I think.
Yeah.
Now, and the fact that it still does that.
Yeah, amazing steering. It just.
Yeah, it's so clean and
I think the best E-Pass.
And it filters out just enough, doesn't it? Because it doesn't really kick back, and it doesn't really, and yet you don't feel.
But it doesn't
disconnected.
Doesn't isolate you from.
Yeah.
No, it the way the steering works is fantastic, but the way the car works with the steering as well is just.
And the four-wheel steer is really well integrated too, because we had a lot of hairpins on some of the routes, and it was great around there. You feel it get into them so well, but it doesn't feel. Some cars
and it
feel weird,
and and then in the fast stuff, it just gives you that stability.
Yeah,
it takes away some of the 911 sort of bob.
Yeah,
sort of corners a bit flatter.
Whoever he is.
But it just does. You get in it and you feel comfortable, don't you, to drive it how you want to drive it. You don't feel that you have to drive to its sort of remit.
You can still do all the 911 things. You just need to do them less to make it do what you want to do. Yeah, it doesn't. So you don't get as much of the car moving around.
Yeah,
and it can do it all day because said the Merc turned its tyres pink because it works them so hard that with the Land Rover could smell the brakes. Well, I could when I was driving it anyway. And some of the other cars, and this, it doesn't use its brakes. It barely touches its tyres.
No, it's born to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
but I think it's a much more satisfying car to drive generally, when you're not on it, than the ST.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, yeah, me and Henry
really
had that conversation too.
Get on with that clutch. I thought it was just a push, step too far.
And super light flywheel.
And it's got some room clutch. But if you want to enjoy a 911, you enjoy it from walking pace to whatever speed and however hard you want to drive it. and you can just drift along, batting the gear lever around, and it makes you feel good.
And it's got a lot of performance, but you can use a lot of that. Quite a lot of the time.
You're extending it more,
at least through a meaningful number of gears. You don't necessarily have to wind it right out to 9,000 RPM, but even working it to 7 or something is it sounds amazing, and it's razor sharp, isn't it? Yeah. And the just that gear shift, and I know we should probably say, although we only ever heel and toe ourselves, but the auto blip as well is just really nicely done. So you can bat through the gears and not have to. You still get the finesse in the car. You just don't have to demonstrate quite as much finesse yourself, but you can if you want to. It gives you the option, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
This or that, and both are great.
And gives you the option of a manual full stop, which no other car in this test does.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It felt, and there was times where you were driving it and it sounded great, but you would think, oh, I wish I was at the top of the hill to listen to this coming up.
Yeah.
I don't know how they make it sound that loud.
I think it's phenomenal, isn't it?
If you said, well, that's the winner, everyone go, yeah, that's quite right. But it was actually beaten by a car, which means it was a very special car that beat it in the Lamborghini Revuelto, which scored 97.7 points, but was also
must be one of the highest scores.
It is one of the highest scores, but it's also the first time since 2014 and the Ferrari 458 Speciale where it was a unanimous winner. Everyone placed it first. It was, I think, the pre-event predictions had the Lambo, pretty much everyone had it, thought it would come first, and surprise it did. Some of those were people who had driven it. There's also those that hadn't driven it but thought it would come through. But what made that car stand out? Why was it in a very tough field that we've gone through? Is very tight. GT3 was amazing. The Alpine was amazing. The Ferrari was amazing. What made the Lamborghini stand out for us?
For me, two things. One was every drive I had of it was brilliant, and the second one was, compared to everything else, it had such a bandwidth. You know, you could cruise around town silently, or you could scream it to 9,000 RPM, going up the hills.
Yeah.
And it is a very impressive integration of all the hybrid stuff, because you never really think it's hybrid either. It's just, as Dickie came back from the launch and said, it just seems to have added to the car rather than taken away from it. And it really has. And
it's physically bigger, like it's longer, wider, taller, heavier, isn't it? And that's what I wrote in that original piece, is it feels shorter, narrower, lower, lighter. And it drives in a way that its predecessors never ever did.
No.
I think,
but has all their drama and theatre and craziness, but it's actually a really, really, really capable, competent, exploitable car.
What Collins said in his notes was, this is the V12 Lamborghini they've been promising for kind of 40 years. It actually,
they revelled in the fact that they were dinosaurs, didn't they?
Yeah.
And just that became their thing, because that's just whether it's because they didn't think they could do anything other than that, or whether it just sold the cars because everyone loved that reputation. I don't know.
Yeah, but also they're wedded to the V12 as much as Ferrari were, and that engine, it lasted for donkeys, didn't it? Original.
Yeah, the one in the Aventador, same block as the Miura, still in the Aventador. Aventador, so Murcielago, sorry. Aventador was new, sorry, yeah. So,
I just think, it all works really nicely together, but it's all properly rewarding as well. The steering is not the most communicative, but it's absolutely there with
It's appropriate for the car, isn't it? I think, because it probably masks the things you wouldn't want to feel anyway, doesn't it? It filters those out, but you always feel like you know what the car's going to do, and it's going to be if you take a liberty with it on the throttle, it's going to be a little bit spiky in certain situations, but it should be, because it's
a 1,000 horsepower mid-engine supercar
with what is still quite a big, heavy V12 behind you, isn't it? So you shouldn't ever hide that. But I think that all the things we maybe would have feared the technology would have taken away, or just added stuff we don't want, it's actually brought all the best things out and added more good things to the way the car drives, I think.
Particularly with its dynamic balance, having the mass at the front. If you're going to put mass anywhere, that's what you needed to do with that.
I couldn't want it to sound any better than it does, or any more than it does.
Yeah.
And
It has all the feel of a naturally aspirated V12, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In a way, and then it's only electric on top of that. Nothing to blur the edges of it. It kind of almost makes it more finite.
It's sort of it felt like the most cohesive car of its type of integrating the height. As you mentioned, you don't know when you're on electric power or when you're on, or when the motors are doing something and the V. It's all just seamless, and the quality of everything it does and did just made it sort of head and shoulders above everything else, regardless of what road you're on. Sometimes you've been a Lamborghini, if it was half the roads we were on in that week, an Aventador would have been, oh God, have I got to drive that back? And you'd be the slowest car. Not it's all about speed, but you just feel the least confident in them on certain roads, wouldn't you? Just be on edge. Oh, it's too wide. I don't feel I've got the precision in the car to get it along this piece of road.
It's just like you're driving in fog and everyone else isn't. In those old ones, you just can't keep. It's like, I can't do this. I need to let everyone go, and I'll go at my own pace. But
it was remarkable that you didn't have to be, you didn't have to have the V12 singing to enjoy it either. You just watch the road come towards you and just drive the road, and it just felt absolutely spot on.
Yeah,
which is
it's a proper three-dimensional thing, isn't it? Rather than admittedly, the one thing the old ones did was pretty cool, but it was that one thing, wasn't it? And everything else was a bit of an afterthought. That's how they.
I think it had the best of, or near enough the best of everything. Of every car, it had pretty much every component was at the very top. There was some. Porsche had better steering, but the Lamborghini wasn't that far behind it. Ferrari had probably the best ride and adaptability to the surfaces, but the Lambo wasn't that far behind in terms
was
of
very good.
Of managing the road surface and undulations and things like that. And it had that manic throttle response that the Ferrari and the Porsche had with their NA engines. For the first time,
it's a proper supercar, isn't it? But I think it is a supercar, not a hypercar, because it doesn't have to make any excuses for going too far in one direction, does it? It's just what those cars always.
It doesn't really need excuses at all.
And I could quite happily see myself using that for a year.
I think you could use
daily
it.
driver.
You'd use it a lot more than you might imagine.
Yeah,
definitely.
No, it was a cracking car, and again in the company that we had. And how tight it was a step up from the other contenders, which is quite an achievement in a year where we've had such a strong field of cars.
I think it could have been the car that we thought, well, we can't have a GT3 winning again. So, but we need to just find a reason to put something in front of it. But it stacks up. You can defend, if anyone says, but what about that? You can defend every single area of what the Lamborghini does because it's right up there.
And I think it's the only car as well that the others you had a great drive in, then you might have a not quite as good, then it'd be good again, and then whereas I think the Lamborghini, whenever I spoke to someone or whenever you saw someone get out of it, they all had that expression.
Even doing photography in it, which is not like where you have to do awkward turns and climbing in and out of it, or where it's just can be a bit of a ball ache, those sorts of cars. It was like you said, every time everyone drove it.
It was amazing. It was. I don't think you had anyone had a bad drive in it.
No.
And whether you got the graveyard shift of driving it back later, you didn't care. Whereas, as you mentioned a minute ago, you would previously be like, oh god,
it wouldn't be your first choice when you've had a 14-hour day or something.
Or the first one in the morning when it's dark and you're sort of, am I leading? Oh, great. And it's dark and the sun's coming up. I'm not quite sure where I'm going.
And the frost sign is lit up on the
it keeps coming on and off, and you're not too sure. But it was a remarkable year, but one outstanding winner,
Absolutely.
I think. So congratulations to Lamborghini. I think that is a high watermark they've set with that car, isn't it? It's quite a remarkable thing. And away from Ecote, every time you've driven it, you've been...
Yeah, that's what I say. Not just all the drives on Ecote. I went to collect it from Hatfield, drove back. Took most of my neighbours out in it, even if they didn't want to go out. And every drive then was fantastic as well.
But
it wows people. But as the driver, you can stroke it along and feel very in control. And it's still going very quickly, and your passengers are...
I think it's changed my feelings around. Like, I love Lamborghinis for what they are, because you sort of fall in love with them when you're a kid, and then you never really lose that sense of.
Yeah.
I don't know, if you had to show an alien what's a supercar, you'd probably point them at any Lamborghini in the last 50 years, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But I've always thought I'm not really a Lamborghini person, because it does all of that show off stuff, but it doesn't really deliver on the things that I want
cherish
from a car. But this one does, absolutely. You're not feeling like you've sold out to kind of have that car. It does everything.
I can't imagine an SV version.
Well, I don't know what they can really do to
what would
top
they
it,
turn up?
to be
You would
honest.
lose something, wouldn't you?
Because
I
it's
think,
all
if you-
so well balanced.
Yeah.
It's so
I think I know what they would get from it, which is another 6 figures on the price for all the options. I mean, it's the only car I've seen that
More
had an
$2.5
option.
grand floor mats.
Yeah, has an option for floor mats, of which you can then put options on the floor mats.
Yeah.
So yeah,
is it spilled gold or
I
something?
don't know what it is, but yeah, it's quite impressive way of making money on that
Wow.
car. But yeah, as you said, how can you an S and a SV and an SVJ, and it feels like it doesn't need it, because I mean, you just can take weight out of it. Yeah, some more exotic materials and trimming. But yeah,
And I think in the way that the 911 has sort of dogged every other performance car maker, you could put the Revuelto into every hypercar test.
Yeah.
And it would show them up.
yes, you could put it against the big hypercar
proper
boys,
stuff,
and you think, well, why do I need to spend twice as much
what
again?
What am I getting?
Yeah, no, it's a remarkable car, and obviously unanimous verdict for the first time in 11 years, and also remarkably Lamborghini's first Evo car of the year win.
Wow,
Yeah.
deserves it.
So
very well.
Really
for
deserves it.
for your first one, that's quite a high watermark they've set themselves to win their second.
Drop mic and
Yeah.
not worried.
So just to finish off, then, what do we think 2025 says about the state of the performance car world off the back of that test? Those cars, a strong year. Where does it rank, we think, in other years as well?
It's right up there, isn't it? I would
Yeah.
say in quality of the cars and the quality of the week, like purely selfishly.
Yeah.
It was a great week on great roads,
Yeah.
great bunch of people, and all the things that we want it
Great amount of baguettes.
to
and
be.
chips.
Yeah, an awful lot of cheese and ham.
I think the only disappointing thing is the fact that there isn't, a Clio Cup or a
Yeah.
I think that was a theme.
or-
A theme through the week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The cheapest car being between 60 and 70 grand.
Yes, there wasn't that Hyundai i20N or Fiesta ST or GI Yaris.
That's the only thing that was
Yeah.
missing for me.
I
Yep.
think it's really heartening, actually, because I think it's easy to get a little bit worried about the way everything's going.
Well, we've been talking everything down for years now, haven't we?
Yeah.
But maybe, well, I don't know. You sort of keep saying it, don't we? But all the time, these sort of supposed death throes of petrol keep getting extended by a year or two.
Yeah.
I think maybe they're going to stay at this sort of peak, because things won't fundamentally change.
Yeah. There's a few manufacturers talking about restarting ICE programs.
Yes,
because not because they're going to do pure ICE, but because they need to produce hybrids, which is where the market is
And I think we,
drifting.
when the choice was between ICE and hybrid, we would generally err towards ICE, and now when it's ICE, hybrid, or BEV, or hybrid or BEV, the hybrid is by far the least worst in a lot of cases, isn't it? So
Tesla or Revuelto.
But I think when the hybrid stuff is done really well,
I think
you don't really know. I mean, it's a component of the package, but it's just like a long time ago when turbocharging was new. I think it's now it's a means to an end, isn't it, emissions wise? But actually, it's used as another performance enhancing tool as much as anything, because it's so integral to how you make the gear shift feel the way it does, and the traction control work, and everything else, torque fill, and
Yeah.
And it's not just being used to make a big flat slab of torque now, is it? It can be shaped and used.
Yeah,
to,
Ferrari do that with the 12 cylinder, the way it delivers the torque. They've designed it so it sort of gives you more as you go on.
Yeah.
It has this crescendo feel.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I think this won't be the last hybrid car that wins car of the year. I don't think. I think that's
No, I hope not.
it's the way it's going. But I think the technology that's there, it's just they're all going to be complementary systems rather than
I think
there for necessity to a means to an end to hit a target. But it's I think we started the year quite pessimistic of is there going to be enough cars? Are they going to be interesting, exciting, and good enough? And we ended up with a dozen cars that
it quickly became apparent, didn't it, that there were going to be a strong, a lot of cars to choose from. I think there'll be a lot of cars to choose from next year.
Here's a list here of just some cars that we from Aston Martin Valhallas and Vanquish S's and Speciales and 849 Testarossas Turbo S, 911 Turbo S. Could be a GR Crawler in the UK finally. RS3 GT, RS5. CLE's finally getting a V8 back in it rather than the mild hybrid.
An RS3 GT could be the
the £100,000 hot hatch.
well,
yeah,
that apart.
Honda Prelude even, it hasn't got the power, but it's got a really good chassis, and there's next year's already shaping up to be a strong year again. So I think it's probably a good place to wrap it up. So congratulations, Lamborghini, on your first win. Dickie, John, James, Cole, Henry, Yusuf, thank you as well for your judging, and also everyone who helped us on Car of the Year this year, and the techs and the support we had from the manufacturers. Without you, wouldn't be able to do it. So thank you very much. This is our last podcast of the year. We're having a bit of a break over Christmas to eat some mince pies. So join us back on the 5th of January, where we have another special 2-part Evo podcast for you with a very special guest. So yes, thank you very much for your support this year. Have a good break, a good Christmas, whatever you're up to, and we will see you in the new year.